Bar-Yoshafat is the deputy director of the Kohelet Policy Forum. That's a think tank that strives to secure Israel's future as the nation state of the Jewish people. Thanks so much for joining us. Let me ask you this. I mean, a real democracy, which Israel says it is defined by the treatment of its minorities. Why then further marginalize those who already feel discriminated against by adopting this law?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Unlike reports, actually the law does not discriminate or restrict any individual rights for anyone, majority or minority. The law simply says that Israel is the nation state of the Jewish people. There are many countries, many European countries, that are nation states. Most of the member states of the United Nations are member states. This is a law that has been overdue for a very long time. It's really okay for a democracy to be a nation state for certain people. It does not mean that you're hurting the individual rights of other groups.
You know, there are only a few nations on the planet that actually define themselves in those terms, according to a specific religious identity. One of them is the Islamic State, the Islamic Republic of Iran. Does Israel really want to be among those ranks?
I'm really sorry. I think the comparison is just ridiculous. Judaism is not just a religion. We're first and foremost a nationality. And unlike other European countries like the UK, Spain, and other countries that have an actual formal religion, we don't even have a formal religion in Israel. You're allowed to have any religion that you want.
Just Judaism like what is a religion.
Judaism is also a religion. It's also a nationality. Most of the Jews living in Israel are not religious. Our identity is a peoplehood. And the fact that you're saying that Judaism is just a religion, you're implying that we are a theocracy, and Israel is by no means a theocracy. Israel is a country governed by law. Now, what is good enough for the UK and good enough for Spain should be good enough for Israel. And unlike the UK or Spain or Norway, we don't even have an official religion in our state. We're just saying Israel is the nation state of the Jewish people. It is really far from being a new concept. That was the whole point of creating Israel. It was a state for the Jewish people.
Okay, then if you're saying this changes nothing, that minorities in Israel should not feel discriminated against, why does it need to be done?
So first of all, thank you. I think it's amazing that some people say it does nothing and the others say it's the end of our democracy, but the law does do a lot of stuff. First of all, every democracy in the world, it has to sit on three legs: human rights, the procedure of the bodies that it has, and its character. So because Israel doesn't have a written constitution, we are now doing something that has been overdue for a very long time, and we're also starting to finish writing our constitution. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, this bill's main purpose is to make sure that there's a proper balance between individual rights and between the characteristic of the country. Right now, I as a Jew am not allowed to go and live in a small town of minorities, but I'm not allowed to create a small town that is for Jews. So it's kind of ridiculous. What we're trying to do is to balance between the legislative branch,
but you're saying it's wrong on both sides, that you can't live as a Jew in another minority community. Why would you want to do that on either side? It's wrong from both angles. But let me ask you this. I mean, one of the other parts of this law is that it downgrades the status of Arabic. This is the native language of 20% at least of your population. Why do that?
That is simply not true. First of all, the law specifically says that it will not hurt the Arab language and its status. That's number one. Number two, most countries in the world, even the EU, which is like the most global organization in the world, every country have a right to have their own official language. So Israel has an official language. Actually, the status quo and that specific part really doesn't change. If you want to talk about symbolic parts of the law, this is actually a very symbolic part of this bill. It was very controversial. People have talked about it. It was a very, very soft agreement that right now what the bill has, and it does not change the level of Arabic. You can study in Arabic, signs are in Arabic.
What is interesting, though, is you said, the Constitution of Israel is being properly actually drafted now. It doesn't essentially exist in the constitutional form that we're accustomed to, but Israel does have a Declaration of Independence, which does outline its values as a democracy, and one of the values that it outlines is that it will guarantee the freedom of religion, conscience, language, education, and culture. Do you really believe you can do that if you define the country as a Jewish-only state?
Hold on, the law does not define Israel as a Jewish-only state. It says that Israel is the nation state for the Jewish people. just like the UK is the nation state for the Brits, just like Spain is the nation state for the Spanish people. But just to answer your question, our independence declaration actually does not have the word democracy. It says Israel is the nation state of the Jewish people. But yes, we do want to ensure that every individual has full equal rights, and that is 100% the case in Israel and should stay like this. What is happening is that right now Israel doesn't have, of the three legs, it didn't have in our almost written, it's still not written constitution, a character. And you keep saying it's as if we're saying Israel needs to be a Jew-only state. That is not the case. We're saying it's a nation state of the Jewish people. It doesn't mean it does not include minorities.
Okay.
It means it's a nation state. And we don't have an official language in Israel. And I'll tell you something more. I wish for the people, my viewers right now, I wish for many people in the world, Muslims and Christians, to enjoy the same freedom that we have in Israel.
Ron Bar-Yoshafat, I'm sorry to have to interrupt you. I'd like to thank you, though, so much for joining us and giving us your perspective there.